welcome to part 2 of me crocheting this cutesy little maxi dress. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I have a whole part 1 of me crocheting the top half of this maxi dress. And if you want more info as to what I did, why I'm crocheting this, my inspiration, all of that fun stuff, then go over to vlog number 1, which I will link in the description for you. But now I will be starting the next phase of this vlog, which is crocheting the skirt, which is actually probably going to be like the longest part of it because it is going to be a maxi dress. I don't know what stitches I want to do. I don't know what kind of flow I'm going for in terms of the dress. I don't know. I have a bunch of stitch ideas. I just need to practice them and see which ones I like the most, and I have a bunch of like kind of fit ideas and like flow ideas that I want for the skirt. I definitely know that I don't want it to be ruffly, and I am debating between like pleats and also like flow, you know. I don't want it to be, I don't want it to be fitted for sure. I definitely don't want that. I want it to kind of move with me. I want it to be like swishy sort of thing, but sometimes that can veer on like ruffly, and I don't want that. So I am still kind of like unsure about the fit that I want. I'm still unsure about the stitches that I want, and I'm gonna figure it out, I guess. This is what the vlog is. I'm gonna be finishing this dress. This is the top so far. So I have a really fun square neckline and then like a square back as well, which I think looks really cute. It's in this beautiful buttery lemon yellow, which I think looks really nice. And if you missed it on vlog number 1, I am going to a friend's wedding in just under a month, probably about 3 weeks and like 4 days, and I am debating wearing this dress for the wedding. It is currently springtime, and springtime in England is very indecisive when it comes to the weather, so I don't know if it's actually going to be weather appropriate for me to wear this dress. I also have like a bunch of other dresses and options that I could wear to the wedding, so if I A, don't finish it on time, or B, doesn't end up being kind of warm enough for me to wear this dress, that is absolutely fine. I do have other options, but regardless, I would still love a crochet maxi dress for me to wear in the spring and summertime because I think it will look real cute. So that's kind of like the purpose of why I'm crocheting this dress. That's kind of like all of the important information you need. Obviously, like I mentioned, if you want any more details on how I crochet the top part of this dress, go to vlog number 1. I do explain things and talk about things in a little bit more detail there. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'm gonna start on the skirt area. I'm gonna practice some stitches that I have in mind, and then we're gonna go from there. Okay friends, here is a little update. So I am, hold on, give me a second, I'm finding it. So I'm working on the skirt part, and honestly this is probably going to be like the most boring part of the entire dress because it's just a long old skirt, you know, like it's just it's just skirt. I got skirt, I'm doing skirt. It's not actually going to be particularly exciting. The kind of main update, I guess, is that I figured out what stitch pattern I wanted to do. I think it looks really nice, and I think it sits really well with the kind of like shell stitch on the top part. You can probably see I've shoved some increases in there because I do need it to be bigger anyway, but I also want it to kind of like have these like little kind of like pleats in them. I don't know, it's not pleats and it's not frills, it's just like a bit of flow, you know, like it's not super tight and it's not like A-line, but it's just kind of got this like kind of swishiness to it. And what I'm hoping is that with like as it gets longer and with like the weight of the skirt, it will kind of give it that kind of like nice swishy vibe that I'm going for. But it looks really cute. I am nowhere near, I think I'm like barely on my stomach. I also am a bit unsure about the yarn situation. I have used, I think 2, I'm on like my second skein for the skirt part, and I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've got 8. And then I've used 2 already, so I've got 6 skeins left for the rest of the dress. I'm hoping that's going to be enough. I do still need to do some kind of like finishing touches around like the edge of the straps and like the armhole and stuff, and then probably towards the bottom. I am also considering that once I kind of get past like my knees, maybe for like the bottom section, maybe doing some like crochet lace or like a fun little lace pattern. There's also like another stitch pattern that I tried. I think it was one of the ones that I wanted to use for the top part, which I really liked, but it was just very had lots of chain spaces and it was kind of gappy and a little bit too airy. So that could look nice at the bottom of the skirt part, and then it just kind of hopefully means that I'm not using as much yarn. But I don't know about the yarn situation. Like I said, I've got 1200 grams, which I do think should be enough, but I have chosen quite solid stitches and I have obviously done quite a few increases for the skirt part. When I was doing the increases, there was actually just like no rhyme or reason. I was just shoving them in there. It's probably going to be some kind of like relatively boring updates, if I'm being so real, because it's just going to be the skirt getting longer. Oh, also let me show you the other stitches that I was going to do for the skirt area. So here is option number 1 that I went with for the skirt area. I just didn't really like it. I think it looked nice in like the swatch that I saw, but maybe it's in my yarn, in this yarn that I've got, maybe it's like my intention, but I was like, this is kind of boring. So yeah, I just decided against this one. Didn't really like it. These two, which one of them is the one that I ended up going with, which is this one. These two look very similar. Honestly, I don't know what it is about me finding stitch patterns that just like look really similar, or like the construction is kind of similar, but this is the one that I didn't choose, or did choose. No, this is the one I did choose. So what's the difference here then? Oh, is it? What the hell? Did I do the same fucking stitch pattern and not realize? But it's just maybe got a different name, because this is looking real similar and I actually cannot tell the difference. Am I going crazy? I actually think the construction of these might be the exact same. Now I'm like looking at it and I can't really remember, like, you know, which one was which. I think these are actually identical. Anyway, here is one of them. Real cute. Here is the other one, but these are different stitches. Like, I mean, they had different names. Like, I'm sorry, that's crazy. I feel like if I was doing them and I was like, oh, this is the exact same as the one I've just done, I would have realized. Or maybe I just wasn't paying attention. I don't fucking know. Anyway, they're the other stitches. Well, other stitch that I was going to do for the skirt, but landed on the one that I'm doing, obviously. I much prefer it. It's just like a bit more solid. I think, like, especially as it's kind of like covering my butt area, I want it to be a solid stitch. And like this one was fine, and like it looked nice on the swatch from like the pattern I saw, but it was just a little bit it was just a bit boring. It kind of, I think because it has that row of double crochet in the middle, I was just like, this is not particularly exciting, and I don't really care about it, you know. But I really like the one that I've chosen because it's kind of got these like cute little clusters. It kind of looks a little bit like the lemon peel stitch, but like better, if that makes sense. I mean, not better, because I do love the lemon peel stitch, but this one just looks a bit, I don't know, it looks different, but it's like similar vibe. Let me count how many skeins I've got. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 600 grams left to do the rest of the skirt. Is that gonna be enough? I don't know, guys. I actually don't know. I think I'll see where I'm at after 200 grams. Like when I finish this skein, the length of it, and then I'll times that by 3 because I've got 6 left. And then I'll see where I'm at, because this is not as long as I was hoping. And I don't think the stitch I've chosen is like a yarn eater per se, but it is obviously a solid stitch. I don't know, I might have to like take out some of the increases, but like because the increases I've done is more for the flow, it's not necessarily for the fit. So like I could afford to lose some of the increases because it will still fit, it just won't be as like swishy, but like that's actually okay. So yeah, I think I'll finish this skein, measure it, see if I can kind of like, you know, essentially use it as like a gauge swatch, see how far it will take me, and then I'll do a try on and then measure where it's at to see where it would technically finish. Because yeah, I'm not actually hopeful, if I'm being so real. And in my mind, I'm like, 1200 grams for a maxi dress sounds like a lot, and I'm kind of like, that should be enough. Like I've made normal length, like kind of like just slightly above the knee dresses for myself with like 600 grams. So I'm like, well, technically 12, double the amount should be enough for a maxi dress. So maybe I've just thrown in a few too many increases, which I probably have, but I thought in my mind, I was like, well, I've got loads of yarn, so like it doesn't really matter and I can. But now I'm like, maybe I actually do need to rein it in a little bit, but we shall see. I'll finish this skein. Like I said, I'll do some measuring and I'll figure it out. So guys, I found a carpet beetle in my yarn. I have never dealt with any, touch wood, I have never dealt with any bug issues when it comes to my yarn. I typically deal with synthetic fibres for like the most part. I do have some wools and alpacas, and now I'm like growing my, I suppose, collection of non-acrylic yarn, and I've always used like cotton in the summer and stuff. But yeah, touch wood, I've never actually had a bug problem. So I was crocheting like normal and I saw a tiny little bug on the skein of yarn and like just sat on top, and I was like, what's that? Didn't think anything of it, just removed it. It was dead. It wasn't alive, it wasn't moving around, it was dead. So just moved it. Then I saw another one, also dead. And this is over like the course of like me crocheting this. It's not like, you know, immediately after sort of thing. Then I saw another one, also dead, removed it. Then was like, what the fuck is this? Googled it, found out carpet beetle for yarn, bad. So I then got, I'm like getting itchy. I then got a little bit paranoid about my yarn, and I was like, okay, so what the fuck is a carpet beetle? Apparently they nest in like natural fibres, so like animal fibres and cotton and stuff. It's less likely in cotton actually, but yes, apparently they do. It's not the bugs themselves, the adult bugs who kind of like eat the yarn. It's actually the larvae, yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it, the babies, that is the damage, that causes the damage to the yarn. So oh my god, I'm so paranoid. I then inspected all of the skeins of yarn as much as I could. I could have probably done this a little bit more thoroughly, but I was like, I'm not seeing anything weird. I'm not seeing any like, I googled what the larvae look like, and I was like, I'm not seeing anything that looks like this. So I just kind of carried on, and then yesterday I was actually frogging my skirt because I did my measurements. This is also an update. I did my measurement of like the second skein that I did and like how long I needed to be, and it was like just not enough, just not enough. So I was like, it's too risky, let me just frog the skirt and I'll just like start it again. I could have definitely frogged it to like a certain point, but I wanted to just frog the whole thing and do it again. I was like, it just kind of works a bit better for my brain. I just wanted to start fresh. So as I was frogging it, everything was fine, and then I felt something like tap my face, the tiniest little tap, like my head, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then there was an alive one sat on top of the yarn. So I was like, oh, that's must have been what it was. But I was like, were you living in the thing? And then I got really grossed out because I was like, I put that on my body. And I don't like bugs and I don't like insects. I respect them and I love what they do for the earth and for the environment, and I understand that a lot of them do need to be here. I get it. I just don't like them in my vicinity and I don't want them near me. My partner got rid of it for me because I'm a big scaredy cat. And then I was like, okay, how do I actually, what happens now? Because this was an alive one. So I read that you can either like heat up the yarn or you can freeze the yarn. So I've put it all in a bag, put it in the freezer. And then I was like, well, how long do I actually need to freeze it for? Because I needed it last night. You need to freeze it for like 1 to 2 weeks. I was like, fuck, I've got this wedding in like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I haven't really addressed that, but I just need to provide an update because I don't know if I am gonna have the dress done on time for the wedding. I don't know if my yarn is like now infested and contaminated. I also then got very paranoid because luckily what I did when I got this yarn, because I knew what was coming, I actually just left it in the bag because I ordered it online. I actually just left it in the bag that it came in and just put it in like a container under my desk. Didn't put it with the rest of my yarn. Thank fuck, because if I put it with the rest of my yarn, it would have gone with all my wools, all of my other cottons, all of my quite expensive yarns that I've picked up over the years. I did get very paranoid about the quality of that yarn, so I basically did like a deep clean of that drawer. I've like inspected that yarn as much as I can. I've like sanitized the area. I've put some I think it's cedar oil in the drawer. I've done my due diligence of the drawer itself. It's just the like yellow cotton that I have for the dress that I think is potentially contaminated. So luckily, yeah, I did keep it separate. So as much as I am a little bit paranoid, I am somewhat confident that the yarn in the yarn drawer is actually fine. Obviously I will keep an eye on it, and I've also like just reorganized everything as well and like moved things around, because I don't really take everything out from that drawer. I usually just like rejiggle things. So yeah, I feel a little bit better now I've done that, but I was just like, fuck. Bit of a spanner in the works. I also don't have the freezer space to keep a whole bag of yarn in there for 2 weeks. Like, I have a minimal amount of freezer space, and like I need it for food. I'll need to kind of read up on terms of like how much heat this specific cotton can take, like on the yarn label, because I might have to potentially like put it in the oven that way instead. So basically what I'm thinking is keeping it in the freezer for as long as I possibly can until I actually just like need that freezer space for food, and then winding it all because it's currently in the skeins. So I'm going to wind it all quite slowly, see if I see any bugs, see if I see any larvae, anything that's like concerning, and then if so, I will either bake it or put it back in the freezer. That's kind of my plan of action for now. Obviously this is like put a bit of a spanner in the works in terms of me actually crocheting the dress, but also like a timeline, because yeah, it's like 2 and a bit weeks until the wedding, and if I am going to wear this dress for the wedding, then I won't be able to crochet it because all of my yarn is in the fucking freezer. Yeah, it's not fun. I'm not having a good time, guys. I can't lie to you. But going back to the actual skirt, I did frog it all just up until the like kind of single crochet row that I did between the top and the skirt. I am thinking that this yarn it's not a yarn eater per se, but I think because of the little clusters of stitches, they're not as tall as I want them to be. So I'm thinking of maybe looking for another stitch, maybe one that's like another shell stitch, or doing the same stitch that I did for the top, but obviously it would be kind of like reversed. It would be like upside down, which I think could look cool. It could look cute. So yeah, I'm gonna have a play around with what I've got, see what it looks like. But at the moment I'm like unsure how to proceed with the skirt. I definitely won't be doing as many increases as I did before, because when I did try it on, it was like it had like a nice kind of flow to it, a nice like swish to it, but I definitely can afford to do less increases. So I think I'm going to cool it on the increases and then do maybe do a different stitch pattern. I haven't quite decided. So that's my update. It's fine, everything will actually be okay. It's not the end of the world, but like, yeah, just very annoying and kind of gross. So what can you do? Hi friends, so I have an update. Sorry if you can hear my washing machine, laundry spinning at the moment. So I basically just did the same stitch. Obviously I'm working like upside down, so it does look like it's slightly different. Like you can kind of see the difference in the stitches, or like the way the stitch is formed, but I think it looks really nice actually. I think like the main reason why I didn't do that to begin with is because I was like, oh, it will look a bit weird if it's like upside down, but it actually looks fine. So I don't think that's a problem at all. I have done a decent amount of the skirt. Starts about here, and this is where I'm at, and I've only just started a new skein, so you can see that it's like considerably taller than the first round that I did with the same amount of yarn in the other stitch. And I also did less decreases. I did do some decreases, I've thrown in a few, and then also on like the later rows as well, but I realized I just didn't need that many. And as much as like I want it to be flowy and I want it to be kind of like nice and airy and like a squishy kind of skirt, I didn't need it to be as big as the other one was. So yeah, I did a few less increases, and I think this is so much better. And I do think that like a dress in all one stitch is quite nice. I think sometimes like whenever I do a dress, or even, I mean, fucking anything to be honest, I like using multiple stitches in a project, and as much as I love doing that, sometimes I'm okay to just use one stitch throughout the entire project. In terms of my carpet beetle situation, I have just started a new skein, and I basically started because I used some of this for one of my swatches, so I started pulling it from the middle, and I basically started just kind of like running my finger through the yarn and like really inspecting it. Wound up some of it. There was a factory knot, which is why I've cut some of it off. Wound it up after I'd inspected it, because I literally just was like pulling it from the skein, looking really closely at it, seeing if there was any either actual carpet beetles or larvae or anything that looked weird, anything that looked not like yarn. Even like just the fact that I was feeling it, I was like, does the yarn feel weird in any way or like different? This part is fine. Obviously I have like the rest of this skein to do, and the rest of the yarn is still in the freezer. I think it's only been maybe about a week, just under a week. So yeah, it's not been like the full amount of time, but I'm like, I kind of want to and need to crochet this dress. So I am just like being very thorough and inspecting the skein that I pulled out in as much detail as I possibly can, and then I'm gonna just give it a wash on a hot cycle. Because I was kind of looking up, like, if I've had a carpet beetle infestation and the yarn has been frozen, and like I'm looking at the yarn afterwards, like what to look out for. I have looked into like what should I do afterwards if the yarn is like looks okay. So yeah, I've kind of like done my due diligence in terms of what I should be doing and like how to kind of like kill them off basically, and make sure that they don't return, of course. But yeah, it's just kind of annoying because there is technically like a deadline with this dress, but not the end of the world if I don't finish it on time for the wedding. But yeah, it's going really well. I'm just going to continue with the skirt. It's kind of, honestly, the updates are probably going to be kind of boring because it's just going to be, here the skirt is longer, and that's it. That's kind of it. I'm currently watching One Piece. I go through phases of like watching the anime because I'm reading the manga at the moment. I like alternate when I'm reading the manga. I'm on volume 31, 32 of the manga. I've been reading Nana, which is why I haven't been reading much of One Piece, and I've just become really obsessed with Nana, so I just kind of like neglected One Piece a little bit. And we're on the Skypiea arc, which is not my favorite so far. Fine, and I'm enjoying it, but it's not like my favorite storyline that I've read in the manga so far. So yeah, I'm watching the anime, and I'm still on the Drum Kingdom arc on the anime. It is longed out on anime, I gotta say. As much as I'm enjoying it, obviously I've read this part of the manga and I'm kind of like, this is stretched, this is dragged, but it's fun. I'm still enjoying it. I think it's like a good almost like background show, especially where I know the story, I know what's happening at the moment. That's it, that's my update. It's going good. It's just kind of a lot of the same. A lot of the same until it gets longer, basically. Hello friends, so update time. I have been working on the skirt. I haven't really provided much of an update just because like it's just kind of boring. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just skirt. I'm doing skirt, and so it's just getting longer. That's kind of really the only update that I have. So at the moment I did a little try on and it sits kind of like just above my knees. I honestly am unsure if I'm going to have enough yarn to do a full maxi length dress. I have, let me show you, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 400 grams of yarn and then like a few little odds and ends, kind of like leftover straggler bits to finish the skirt. I really don't know. I'm really unsure if I'm going to have enough. I am going to block it, and I am accounting for like a little bit of stretch, like due to the sheer weight of the skirt. So I think I'm probably gonna, you know, give it maybe like 3 to 4 inches of like, you know, leeway, where is, because I don't want it to be dragging on the floor. I do want it to be kind of just like a regular maxi length. Yeah, I'm unsure if I'm gonna have enough yarn. I'm just basically gonna keep going until I run out. As much as I obviously would love to have a maxi dress because that's what I intended to and set out to do, I don't mind if it's kind of like in between. If it's like midway past my calf, or like, you know, calf length, madaxi sort of length, that's also okay, which I do think is more kind of realistic as to like the length it's going to reach. But then over time it could possibly stretch out to be a maxi. I really don't know. I've never really had a dress or made a dress that's this heavy and this long sort of thing, and I love the fit as well. I was a bit kind of unsure how the skirt was going to sit and how the skirt was going to fit because I did reduce the amount of increases that I did, but it's actually perfect. It's perfect, it's lovely, it has that lovely kind of swish and flow, which was exactly what I wanted. So to address the elephant in the room, or should I say the bugs in the room, I think the bug situation, touch wood, is actually okay. I actually think it's fine. So basically what I did was I froze the yarn and I left the yarn in the freezer for about 12 days. everything that I read said that they advise 2 weeks, and your freezer has to be a certain temperature. I can't remember what it is, but my freezer is that temperature. But what I did was I basically had quarantined it in the same bag that was in the freezer, and I separated each skein into its own quarantined bag. Then what I did was I went through every single skein with a fine tooth comb and my eyeballs, and I was literally feeding the yarn through my fingers and inspecting every centimetre, millimetre of the yarn. I wound it up into separate balls, and then once I did it with all of them, I was like, that's it, we're done. We're kind of, what more can I do? So I did kind of like read up on what else I could do, or like, you know, if there was anything else that I needed to do, and no, there's nothing else that I can do. I did notice as well, so before I put them in the freezer, the larvae in particular look like a tiny bit of fluff, and like fluff is inevitable. I do have fluff everywhere. I have a rabbit, I, you know, have other crochet clothes, my hair sheds a lot. Every little bit of fluff I was inspecting, like, you know, minuscule little bits of fluff. And before I put them in the freezer, I did find what I thought was actually a tiny bit of fluff, but I used like my camera on my phone and like zoomed in with the flash on, and I think it was like a tiny little larvae. So I disposed of it, and since then I've not seen any more of that, especially when I was kind of like inspecting the yarn. I've not seen any more actual adult beetles, so hopefully, fingers crossed, that means that it's fine. But yes, it's been not fun, you know. I think I've gotten like quite paranoid with it. I feel like they're all over me, like, you know, and like I feel itchy and stuff, and I get a bit paranoid that like in my hair and whatever, and like obviously I have a rabbit, which I'm a bit worried about, but I've, you know, I've done my due diligence with him. Like, yeah, it's actually fine, but I just, yeah, I'd hope to never experience this again, touch wood. I feel like I have covered my bases. I feel like I've done my due diligence, and like there's not really much else I can do. I also, when I was like looking at the yarn, I was looking out for any frays and any kind of like breaks in the yarn. There was none, like not even a fray. I had loads of factory knots, which was kind of annoying, and they definitely were factory knots, so that's why some of the yarn has been like cut off. I can't really do much more. Like this is all I can do. I'm not in a position, and I don't want to just like abandon the yarn, so I will be continuing to use it, and I actually think it's fine, touch wood. Everything is okay. So yeah, that's my update. The dress is going well. I am just on skirt now. Okay friends, we have an update. Skirt is pretty goddamn long, so let me show you the kind of like whole length of it. Yeah, it's pretty long. I did a try on, and it's sitting like just past my knees. I have just under 200 grams of yarn left, and I'm still unsure if it's going to end up being a maxi length or if it will just be like, you know, slight madaxi, maybe like slightly above ankle sort of thing. And I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay. I'm just going to kind of like use up the yarn essentially. I do still need to do like a little finishing border around the armholes, and then like the neckline and the back area as well. But before I do that, I am thinking that I'm just going to shorten the straps ever so slightly. I think just due to the pure weight of the skirt and the dress in general, I am just going to need to account for more stretch than I was kind of envisioning. So I'm okay to do that. Obviously it gives me a little bit more yarn that I can use towards like the neckline finishing touches and stuff like that. When I tried it on as well, I did notice that like the part where the skirt joins to the top, you can kind of see obviously like the joining line, but when I had it on as well in particular, it just kind of you could see not only the connection, but you could also see where it was like stretching a little bit. So I'm thinking of like a couple ways of how, I'm gonna put this down, but I'm thinking of a couple ways of how I can kind of like combat that. One thing I'm thinking is maybe doing almost like a belt, but have it like sewn in, if that makes sense. So basically crocheting just like a long thin strip that I can not only use to like cinch in the waist a little bit, because obviously over time it is going to stretch, but I can also then sew it to that little gap, because it will cover it, and if I sew it in a particular way, then I can almost like lift the skirt to kind of take a little bit of that, this gesture is so stupid, but to kind of like take a little bit of that weight off of that one, you know, row that is connecting to, because the skirt's like 600 grams, you know, probably going to be more obviously by the time I'm finished, but yeah, it's a heavy skirt connected to just like one chain basically. So yeah, I think I just need to add maybe a little bit more reinforcement in that area. So that's what I'm thinking for that area. So in terms of the wedding is in a week's time, just over a week's time, and I am going to be working on the dress a fair bit this weekend, hopefully being able to finish it at least to like get it blocking like and drying sort of thing. So I have enough time, you know, I am okay with the amount of time we have. In terms of the weather, it's a bit up and down at the moment. Like yesterday it was really warm and lovely and sunny, but today it's kind of very windy and like kind of rainy. Honestly, I really do think that my decision will come like the days before the wedding, because then I can check the weather for the place, the area that we're going to be, just to double check what it's going to be like. If it's still up in the air, I think I'll just bring both. I'll bring both this dress and another dress that I'm planning on wearing, and then I can just see how I feel on the actual day, because it's kind of like a lunchtime evening sort of wedding. And also we're going to be indoors quite a lot. We are going to be in a church and then a venue, but we're going to be indoors quite a bit, so like I'm thinking I could just bring a jacket. I actually have this really nice let me grab it, brown cropped jacket. It's like brown cord that I think could look really nice with the buttery lemon yellow. So I feel like this looks really cute together. I love a yellow and brown combo. And then I'm wearing like lilac accessories. So I have a, let me find it. Oh, amazing, it's so close. So I have this like tiny little lilac bag, and then I'll wear like I have like lilac accessories, and I'll probably do some lilac makeup just to combine it all. But yeah, I think these colors could look really nice together. Obviously like very pastel and springy, but I'm still warm. Oh, also the bug situation. So touch wood, there has been no sign of any more bugs. My partner seems to think that they just came in through the window, because we live somewhere where we do get unfortunately quite a lot of bugs coming in, because like we live near quite a lot of like trees and bushes and stuff like directly outside of our window, so we do end up getting quite a lot of bugs inside. And so my partner seems to think that they came in and then they just like, obviously my dress was like out, and they latched onto the yarn, because there was no bugs in the actual skeins and like the actual yarn itself. It was just solely on like the dress and the skeins that I was working on. So yeah, I'm not too sure how they got in. Touch wood, there's not been any more, but yeah, I'm still a little bit kind of confused, because everything I've like read up on them is not what's actually I've experienced, you know. So yeah, that's my update. It's going well, no bugs. So I did finish the dress and I was able to wear it for my friend's wedding, and I was like really umming and ahhing like basically on the day whether I was going to wear this dress or one that was a little bit more long sleeve and like kind of more full coverage, because the weather was honestly kind of crazy. It was like really warm the 2-3 days before the actual wedding, like 20 to 24 degrees. Like I was like, this is perfect. Check the weather for the actual day of the wedding. It was like real up and down, super windy, cold, rainy, hail, there was sun. It was a very odd weather forecast. So I was, come the day of the actual wedding, yeah, I was really undecided, but my partner did kind of like gently convince me to wear it, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, a hoe never gets cold. So I did decide to wear it, and I'm really glad I did. I was chilly, I will admit, I was chilly on the day. It was like 40-mile-per-hour winds. I was cold, but I had like, I wore the brown jacket that I kind of showed before. I did also buy a like lilac and yellow shawl, like a silk shawl, just in case I needed a little bit more coverage or it wasn't cold enough for the actual jacket. I wanted like an in-between sort of layer. And yeah, I wore all of the purple, like the lilac accessories that I showed you guys, despite the weather being very weird, because it literally hailed, rained, it was super windy, it was sunny, it was a crazy weather day, but it was a beautiful day watching watching my friends get married, and I'm really glad that I was able to wear this dress. So in terms of the finishing details, what I did, in terms of the length, we're hitting maxi. Like, this is basically maxi length. I don't really like maxi dresses or skirts that kind of like hit the floor, so this is perfect for me. I was wearing like very small wedges, and this was like the perfect length. You can kind of see that it's stretched out quite a lot from like where the top was. The top was sitting definitely more on my waist, and now it's like just above my hips, and I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about that, but it's actually fine. I actually, like, I don't gravitate to tops that are like, or dresses with tops that are this kind of length, but I actually don't mind it. Like, I knew it was going to stretch because it's cotton, because I'm using a lot of yarn. Like, I knew that that was definitely going to happen regardless of like what I did to kind of like fix anything. I think usually I don't gravitate towards that kind of top because I think it doesn't suit my body type, but I feel like in a dress it looks really cute and it looks nice. I did do some finishing details around the neckline and the armholes as well. It's also funny because you can really see the difference of the skirt to the top, because I did use a slightly bigger hook. I used a 4.5 on the skirt and then a 4 on the top, and it is kind of crazy that just like 0.5 millimeters you can really like change the way a stitch looks. But I think it looks really nice actually. I kind of like the separation of it. Like, I think it looks quite cool. And then as well, I think I mentioned that because of the weight of the skirt, I was getting like a little bit of drag on the kind of like connecting seam at the top part. And basically what I did is that I just put some of the yarn on a darning needle, and I just kind of like sewed it together a little bit tighter, if that makes sense. So I kind of like looped through those first few stitches and just like pulled it tight. But yeah, I really love how it turned out. I'm really glad that I was able to finish it for my friend's wedding, and I was able to wear it for their wedding, and I think it's going to be a really nice like throw on casual spring and summer dress. I'm really looking forward to styling it a little bit more, particularly like wearing a little shirt or like a blouse or something underneath, maybe wearing a cardigan over it. I think like with tights as well, maybe some like funky colourful tights I think could look really cute. I think I mentioned that I was a little bit worried about how much yarn I would have left. This is all I have left. I think probably maybe like, I don't know, 20 grams of yarn, and I have quarantined it in these bags just in case there is any leftover carpet beetle situation. In terms of the actual dress, like afterwards, like after I kind of, the last time I talked about the carpet beetles, I, touch wood, have not seen any more in the yarn in my house, like near my windows, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think, touch wood again, I think we're good. I've had a really good experience crocheting this dress. This has been probably like one of, if not the biggest project that I've ever done. Let me know what you think as well. Leave me a comment to let me know your thoughts. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I'll hopefully catch you on the next one.